I'll be really honest. I used to be totally freaked out by talking to air traffic control, and now I'm really, really comfortable with it. And I just say that to say, one, there's hope, and two, there were some really practical things that helped me along the way kind of get comfortable with it that I know can work for you too. And if we're just meeting, my name is Charlie Gassmeyer. I'm a commercially licensed pilot and aircraft owner here in Dallas, Texas. And my mission with Airplane Academy is to help you become a pilot and own your own airplane one day. So first off, with getting comfortable with air traffic control, just know that it gets easier. It just does. Talking with ATC is a new language, and you just need to become fluent in that new language. And I think that realizing that it's a new language will help you be more patient with it, because think about it, like, you don't expect to learn Spanish and be fluent overnight. Like, absolutely not. That would be absurd. So why is it any different with aviation, learning all this stuff and learning how to talk to ATC? It's a new language. It's going to take some time. And so if you're in that early overwhelming period, this is the time to just absolutely stick with it, because I promise it does get easier. And while you're sticking with it, here's some more practical things to consider implementing right away. I really encourage you to use the phrase student pilot in your ATC transmissions. There's no shame in using it. And in fact, the AIM, the Aeronautical Information Manual, even encourages it. It says verbatim, it is recommended that student pilots identify themselves as such on initial contact with each clearance delivery prior to taxiing, ground control, tower approach, and departure control frequency or flight service station. So you could say Addison Tower, Skylane 916 Delta Foxtrot, that's my airplane, blah, 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 student pilot. That's all you have to say. 2 magical words. And ATC will probably either talk slower or be more willing to repeat things or give you extra space. Like, they want to know, they're wanting to help you. So there's no reason not to just raise your hand and say, hey, I kind of need some help. And then you can also use this at non-towered airports. Just announce in the pattern you're a student pilot by adding student pilot at the end, or even student solo if you're solo. People will really, I think they'll help you more. They'll give you extra space. Like, don't be afraid to use it. Next, remember that ATC is usually the same cadence over and over and over. It helps me to remember that it's really just a logical conversation, even if it doesn't feel like it at first. You're just addressing who it is you're talking to. It's nice and proper. And then it's just who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. I think that's a pretty logical flow. Who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. So Addison Tower, Skylane 916 Delta Foxtrot is holding short of runway 16 at Alpha, ready for takeoff, VFR to the east. That doesn't have to be that complicated, even though it's a long transmission, but it doesn't have to be complicated, because it's really just addressing who we're talking to, Addison Tower. Then you're saying who you are, Skylane 916 Delta Foxtrot, which should be placarded right in front of you, so it's hard to forget. And then you're saying where you are and what you want to do. It's pretty logical if you just think about it. And in fact, if you think of kind of like a non-aviation parallel, say that you're calling a plumber that says they service your zip code or whatever. You would call them and you say his name's John. You say, hey John, my name's Charlie. I live in, this zip code, and I have a busted pipe. That's exactly what you're doing. You're addressing who you're talking to. You're saying who you are, where you are, and what you want to do. Like, that's how that echoes real life. And so air traffic control doesn't have to be this mystic thing of like, oh, how do I talk? Like, what's the cadence? Well, the cadence is just like you're calling the plumber. So try to remember it that way. Now, the specifics of what to say, like, hey, I kind of know what I want to do in plain English. Like, I want to take off, but like, how do I say that in aviation terms? Like, I'm ready for VFR departure to the east. Like, that will come with time and practice and just exposure. But there's really like only a handful of things you need to know how to say. So it might feel overwhelming at first. If you just stick with it, I promise it'll get easier. Real quick, I wanted to let you know that I recently launched my set of private pilot flashcards that I promise can make your studying so much easier. I've taken a bunch of check rides myself, and I really found it was always hard to separate the stuff I knew from the things that needed more work. And so studying and preparing was just always stressful for me. So I really just wanted to try to fix that. So I spent 15 months and made these super robust cards that I think can help solve that problem. Now, as of this filming, these launched a few weeks ago, and they've already gotten like dozens of 5-star reviews. So I say that with gratitude. Like, I'm really happy that people have really liked them. So I hope you'll take a second to check them out. The link is down in the description, or you can go over to airplaneacademy.com/flashcards to learn more. And more than anything, I just really hope they can help and encourage you in your aviation training. Another tip for getting comfortable with air traffic control is to not be afraid to ask your instructor to model it for you. Now, I know that's something that sounds like I probably shouldn't have to say that here. Like, well, duh, any good flight instructor is going to model it for you. But you'd be surprised, like, without naming any names, like I had a flight instructor one time that was just really frustrated. Like he asked me to demonstrate this flight maneuver in a new airplane that I was learning, and I just didn't do it fast enough. It was like my first flight in this airplane. He's like, no, you're not doing it quick enough. It needs to be like this. And I was just like really rattled. I was like, well, I don't know how to I know how to do that in other airplanes. I haven't done that in this airplane before. It's like, come on. And before the next flight, I told him, I go, look, I understand you were kind of impatient with me and I wasn't doing as quickly as maybe your other students. That was my first flight in the airplane. So what would really, really help me is before we do the next maneuver, if you could demonstrate it once for me and then walk me through it once and then let me do it on my own, that would really help me. And I would assume like that's how you should do it. But in this particular instance, like, I mean, it was kind of rapid fire, go, go, go. Like he wanted me to demonstrate it. And so don't be afraid to ask your instructor to do that. Like if you hop in the plane and they're just saying, okay, call the tower. And you're like, I don't know, I've only called a tower once or whatever. Like, don't be afraid to say that. Say, hey, could you model it for me? Or like, can we just do a dry run here in the cockpit? Like make sure I'm about to say the right thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Now, I do think there is something to be said for being thrown in the deep end to kind of accelerate your learning and take on a lot at one time, but at some point that can backfire. So next, when you're overwhelmed, ask for help. This is similar to asking your CFI to model it for you. But once they model it for you, you understand, you kind of know what to do. There can be times when you know what to do, you're just really in the weeds and you're overwhelmed. And it's not wrong to ask for help in those moments, especially in the early part of your training. Like you might just be really overwhelmed in the pattern, trying to think through your checklist and what to do on downwind, base, and final and stuff. And you might be right up to your saturation limit, where adding in your ATC calls on top of that, just simply announcing that you're on downwind, base, and final might put you over that edge where your brain just kind of freezes and you lock up. So in that moment, it's not bad to ask your CFI if they can just take the radios because you're oversaturated. A good instructor is going to know how much they can stretch you without breaking you, but they're probably going to need your help in figuring out where that limit is. So if you're at your limit, speak up. Just say, I'm overwhelmed. I need help with the radios so I can focus on flying the airplane. Now, you won't be able to do that on the check ride, obviously, but this isn't the check ride. This is training. And if you need some help, you need some training wheels while you're developing your proficiency and how much you can handle at one time, like that's okay. That's how we learn. So just don't be afraid to ask for help. I also found it really helpful in busy Class B airspace to listen to the live ATC app, obviously while you're home, not like while you're in Class B airspace, but while you're learning to fly in Class B airspace. I think the app is like a few dollars, and then they also have a browser version at liveatc.net, and I think that one's free. There's others, but that's one I've used in the past. And I think it's helpful to listen to the tower. If you train at a big airport, they probably have your tower, like my home airport of Addison, they have that on there. And you can get some mental reps, and then you can also listen to Regional Approach too. So that helped me a lot, and I could pair it with ForeFlight or a live flight radar. There's a bunch available online. And you kind of role play, like follow an airplane for a few minutes and try to expect the air traffic control calls that they're going to make or they're going to receive, and pretend you're them. Like when the tower calls you, like respond and see if you said the same thing that the pilot did. I think it's a great way to practice ATC calls while you're in the comfort of your own home. But the biggest thing I would say in building confidence with air traffic control is just realizing that like 90+% of stuff is the same thing over and over and over. And once you realize what to expect, it's going to help your confidence level a ton. And in the video on the screen, I took such a flight where I really encountered about 90% of what you're going to experience in VFR flying in terms of air traffic control. Hope you'll check that out. I think it'll help you in your confidence. So I'll see you over there.